The J1 waiver process is not a one size fits all because you do really need to have your own evidences that is unique to your case, and you have to focus on the totality of your circumstances. In this video, we are going to talk about that. So let's dive in and let the journey begin.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. So as my wife was saying earlier, your case is not a one-size-fits-all, okay? You can definitely use ours as like a foundation or a template of how to conduct your own, collecting of evidences and filing your documents, things like that. What you have to understand is that every situation is unique. You see, you're going to have things present in your life that we did not have, okay? You're going to have things in your life that are completely different from our situation. And so what you have to do is you just have to focus on what your strengths are and then bolster up your weaknesses. Make the weaknesses not seem as bad as they come across.
So, like for example, the strength that he's talking about is if both of you are single prior to getting married.
Exactly.
And what are the evidences that you can show off? Like, for example, in our marriage, before going into that realm, we do really had the chance to mingle, know each other, and then we got engaged for 4 months. And within that engagement, we talk about putting a joint bank account together.
That's exactly right. That was our first step, actually, getting that joint bank account. And that should pretty much be your first step as well. And there's any other things that you can jointly commingle with as well. It could be vehicular ownership. It could be an insurance policy. It could be something as simple as you joined a membership together, whether it be at a gym, something online. Maybe you joined a church like we did.
Yes.
We became members of that church. And then in addition to becoming members of the church, we signed up for volunteer duty. Like her and I are a part of what's called the First Impressions team. That's where people are coming in and we greet them, give them the church handout for that week.
Yes.
And just make a good impression.
It's very nice to have that foundation because it's not just showing later on to the USCIS that you have this kind of marriage and kind of documents, but it's also having those relationship as the real couple. For it will be shown not in a video, not in a USB drive, but it has to be shown on a paper.
Right.
So, like for example, your joint bank account, it has at least 3 months of bank statement,
right,
where it can
withdrawals,
show
deposits
of your
paid, all
bills
that
paid, expenses that you have. It doesn't have to be that extravagant, like thousands of dollars that you put in. No, we start with $50.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So he has a separate bank account. I have my separate bank account from our specific jobs. And we have a joint bank account because we are planning to have a rental house for ourselves and jump into more investments and really showing that we are a real couple because we are already preparing. And I'm open to him telling him that I have a 212E rule, that's 2 year home residency requirement. And he was even thinking, what? I'm going to be married to you. I'm a US citizen, but why is it happening that way?
Yeah. And it's because, here's why. Some of your fellow countrymen who came before you took advantage of this situation and they cheated the system. And what they were doing is they were marrying foreigners. And in the minute they became citizens, they were booting their foreigners to the side. They were getting divorced, okay? And this became such a huge problem that pretty much both the Philippine government and the U.S. government had to step in and take steps. So now you've got, and on the Philippine end of the government, they have that 212E rule. And then the USCIS makes sure that that rule gets enforced unless you file a waiver showing how this is going to be a major hardship if you break this marriage up, okay?
Exactly.
So you've got unfortunately, your fellow countrymen to kind of blame for that one that came before you.
If you do it legally, just like what we did, again, this is not a one size fits all.
Every situation is going to be different.
Documents, every situation is different. But if you wanted to have the template or the guide on how we did it, because we focus on the exceptional hardship to my US citizen spouse on the grounds of financial, career hardship, emotional, psychological hardship, and medical hardship, like a little
That
bit
could
of
be,
that
yeah.
could be language barrier. That is
Hmm.
also the thing. And always think of this: two ways to prove the hardship extremely. One is if your US citizen spouse has to stay here in the US, well, you have to fulfill the 2 year rule or 2 year home residency requirement to your home country, just like the Philippines.
Yeah.
Or if you bring your US citizen spouse with you to your home country for 2 years, what will be the exceptional hardship that he will be encountering in those specific period of time?
Yeah. Now, in that situation, that's pretty cut and dry because what are the two biggest obstacles that are going to face the U.S. citizen spouse? So number one, uh, he's not going to be able to find the same kind of work that he can in the States.
Career hardship.
Career hardship right there. And that then translates into financial hardship.
Yes.
And then the second thing you're going to have is, like she was saying earlier, with the cultural and language barrier, it's going to be very difficult for him to assimilate himself into the culture there and living there full time. Now, it's one thing if you're planning to retire there, you have a long time to plan out, what you're going to do and how that is going to be. But for you to go over there, cut and dry, leave everything you've ever known behind in the States and go there and actually try to have a life there, that could be a major hardship for you.
Yes.
And so that's something you need to talk about.
And this is the truth that we want to tell you. Hiring an immigration lawyer is good because you can get a legal advice, but
Right.
it's not a guarantee because it happened
Never
to
is.
us. We did a consultation, and what did the lawyer say?
He just said, it's not going to work. It's not going to work because it has to be an extreme hardship. And I jokingly said that, what did I say? Someone has to be dying of cancer of the head or something ridiculous like that. And that's pretty much the gist of what he was saying. He was saying that it had to be a situation that was so dire, so devastating. That was the only way it was going to work. Well, we proved him wrong because what we showed the USCIS is that, look, we met, we fell in love, we started a life together. We're continuing to build that life together. And when they look at those things, when they see that, okay, you started here from almost nothing and now you've built all these things together, okay, that's not going to be something they're going to want to break up, okay? And let me tell you something, and this is important you get this. They can smell a rat a mile away.
Yes.
They can tell who's faking it. They can tell who's trying to put on a show, and they can tell who's legitimate, okay? So keep that in mind. If you've got nothing to hide, if you are doing everything legitimately, it's going to reflect in everything you do. If you're trying to put on a show, pull a fast one and be all slick Rick about it, guess what? You're going to get busted and it's going to get denied. Okay.
Exactly.
So you need to ask yourself one question before you get started. Am I committed to this? Am I legitimate in all this? Or is this me playing a game?
Yes. And the word committed. Are you committed to do this for over 2 years? Because when you file for a J1 waiver, it's a do or die thing, and it's like no turning back. Because once you submit your exceptional hardship waiver, which is the Form I-612 to the USCIS, and your DS-3035 to the Department of State, those will be with a process of almost 20 months. It's like almost 2 years. So with all those evidences you have, make sure it fits with all the grounds of exceptional hardship that you wanted to prove. Again, you already have your U.S. citizen spouse, and that's your ticket already to stay here with him.
That's right.
Or with her if you got married to your wife. So it's really up to you on how you decide. We have templates in powerfulcouplejourney.com to show you how we did it. We have Form I-612, we have DS-3035, we have Form I-130, Form I-612, Form I-765, Form I-864, all those forms that are needed that could show you the step-by-step process. We even have the bundle, that way you could really tell and say that, oh, this is really what they did, and make it less like a guide for you if you want it. But there's no one-size-fits-all J1 waiver. It has to be unique to your case, and think of the totality of your circumstances.
Right. And also think about this too. There might be some things in your past that are going to work against you. Like, for example, if you're a guy and you've got like 3 and 4 previous marriages before you met your Filipina, that's going to be a little tough for you. Also, if the shoe's on the other foot, if the Filipina has several prior
which
marriages.
is very hard because we don't
Yeah.
have any legal divorce or
That's exactly
anything
right.
like
Yeah.
that.
It's
Annulment right
different.
now is very expensive
Mhm.
there.
So you have to be mindful of those things like that. So those are things that are going to work against you. And so you have to figure out in your situation what's the best way to combat against that.
Yeah, and that right there, you need really legal advice from an immigration
Right.
lawyer.
And those are going to be, that's one of those situations where you probably would want to have that lawyer guiding you your steps, because they'll be able to give you keys to how to, fight that.
Yes, but if you have a very straightforward case, just like what we have, no kids, no strings attached, no
Right.
divorce,
No prior divorces or
and
marriages.
you have a lot of prior preparations, then you will really get your waiver. And the best part of this is your relationship is getting stronger,
Yeah.
and your faith in the Lord as well becomes so strong that you have hope for the future.
That's right. I can tell you this is what helped me get through things, because it is a long process. Now, if you go on to the USCIS website and you're checking your case every single day and you see no progress, guess what's going to happen? You're going to get discouraged and frustrated. You can't do that. What you have to do is do like what we did. Okay, we filed the stuff and we left it alone. And we gave it to the Lord and said, it's in your hands. We did our role. We filled out our documents. We submitted our evidences. Now it's in your hands, Lord. Okay. And then that's when the patience and the faith comes in.
Yes.
And then what happens is one day when you're not even thinking about it, you're just going about your daily business, your daily routine.
And you check your case tracker.
And you check your case tracker, or you get something in the mail.
Yes.
And that's an exciting moment, because that means, hey, look, it's budged loose. Right, we're doing something. Right. And I know one of the most exciting moments for me was when I got that notice in the mail saying, you've been invited to do an interview at our field office in Jacksonville. I was like, all right. This is a chance to go face to face with somebody and give them personally, our story. And by that point in time, her and I had a lot of evidences together, because at that point we owned a house, we had more investments, we had, I had made her the beneficiary of my will. She was on my 401k. She was on a couple things, actually. We had more joint ownership of things. We had been members of our church at that point for like 3 years at that point?
Yes.
Something like that. So we had a lot going for us. And I brought literally a briefcase full of all the extra. I brought our house deed, which is a paper thing about this thick. It's like a Bible.
And we also have letters from friends or family that are really there to help us. And they are mostly green card holders and U.S. citizen, because you need that strong ties of why the U.S. citizen must stay here with you as the J1 that has a 212-year-old. That means even though the waiver is granted to the J1 teacher or J1 visa holder, the hardship has to be with a U.S. citizen. So it has to be that way. You have to have your affidavit of support statement and all those things that you have to prepare. So checklist is what we have in our website, POWELLFULCOUPLEJOURNEY.com. You can check that out and see a lot of videos that we are showing here, because we really are trying to help you, give you ideas on the J1 waiver process, especially with doing it yourself. So see you on our next video. Have a great day.
Take care.